Hi everyone. So today I'm gonna go over my work for the term project, which I'm gonna over class diagram and sequence, and then for the state diagram. So first, let's start with the class diagram, and the class diagram, it has multiple classes, and I'm gonna start with the user view class. In the user view class, it has three operations. Two of them, login as sign up, is for adding an account or maybe checking if that account is existing or not. So if the user try to log in, they will use login operation. If they do not have an account, they will use sign up operation. For the display panel, it's for displaying the main menu after they successfully log in or sign up. So it's not gonna, for example, use any functionality from these. It's only depend on itself, and it's under the user view class. Now let's go over some other classes that we do have. We have, for example, server functionalities and local device. First, I want to talk about functionalities. What's gonna do? So functionalities is connected with the user view, um, and this functionalities is gonna be in the main menu of the software. So after I log in, I will get a main menu. Then in that main menu, I will be able to do all these functionalities. And this class is quite complex because most of the functionalities can even do multiple things inside it. So first, let's go over the add, for example. For the add functionality, we can add an expense, we can add a user, we can add a group. So as you can see, we have multiple things that we can add inside this add function. For the deletes, it's the same thing. We can delete a user, we can delete an expense, and we can even delete a group. For the settings, it's gonna be for the report. If it's gonna be for the editing profile of the user, and the settings of the notification, and the settings or to report to print a report, summary report for the user. For the shared and transfers and view, we're gonna talk about them later because they do have another class they will contact. So let's first start with the add, delete, and settings. Add, delete, and settings, they all will contact with this server class. And for the add, it's gonna be handled by the add. And for delete, it's gonna be handled by manage delete. For the settings, it's gonna be handled by manage settings. Here we do have manage user, and this one will be for the login functionality or operation in the user view. So when the user try to log in, they will contact the server and they will be executing this operation or functionality, which is manage user, to check if that user is in the database. But for the other three, as we can see that we manage add, and in the parameters we are going to specify what we want to add. We want to add an expense, user, and so forth. And when I say I want to add a user, I mean I want to add a recipient to my list. So the user will be able to add some recipients on the list. So each time they want to add a recipient to the experiment, they will be able by using that list. Same thing with the delete, and same thing with the settings. Then this server class connects with other three classes. So the first one is handle adding, which is gonna be for the manage add. So manage add, for example, when I add an expense, is gonna be directed here, and this one will be it's gonna format the adding expense so nicely, and then it will direct this back or respond back to the server with good formatting to add it to the database. So the server will not be able to add that to the database directly. It's gonna contact one of these classes. So this, in this case, for the adding, add expense, add group, add a recipient, and add user, as I said. This add user for if you want to try to add a user to a group or something like that, or an expense. So for manage settings, it's gonna be if we are trying to edit profile, if we are trying to change the notification, turn it on and off, and for the print report, it's gonna be the same to print a report from the database. It's the same thing with the delete if you wanna delete an expense or delete a group. So now let's go back here again as we cover the first three and let's cover the other three. First we have share. Share is for sharing my account. Only when we hit share or press the button share, it's gonna open a panel. It's gonna be do that right there. It's not gonna contact any other classes like we did with the add and delete and settings. It's not gonna do that. It's gonna do that right there and show a panel to ask the user where do you want to share it. Do you want to share it, for example, to WhatsApp or share it by Gmail and so forth. It's gonna be using a link. Share it with the link. For the transfers and view, I did that locally on the device. And here's my thinking. For transfers, it's gonna show what's the latest transfer the user do. For only not it's only up to 3 days, not over than that. So instead of going to the server and um, get these from the database, I'm gonna save that for the 3 days in the locally on the device. Why? Because I wanna enhance the performance of the software. So I'm not gonna spend time to get that from the server and take longer time to retrieve the data. I'm gonna do that in the local device. I will save these latest and I'm gonna update them as we go. So as I said, I have only up to 3 dates and that's it. If the user wants more than that, they need to print a report. And for the view, this one is going to view the expense for the user, what expense they do have right now, what groups they are in, and like they are going to view the recipients. And it's the same thing with the transfer. It's gonna be saved in the local device files. We are not gonna go to the database and retrieve these data because it's gonna take longer time and that's gonna affect on the performance of the software. One more thing is for the database, user will need to um, fill in this for the sign up. They will need to fill in username, email address, password, phone number, and debit card. And for the group, it's gonna have group name and group users and group expense. What expenses are related to that group and what users are related to that group as well. And for the expense, it's gonna have the name, the amount, and the description, shared manner, and image, and as well as users. So we can have an expense and related multiple users to it. It's not only for the group. Okay, so now let's move and go through the sequence diagram. So the first sequence diagram is for the sign up a new account if the user does not have an account. So first the user will use the sign up button and it's gonna be in the user view, and that the user view will contact the server and using the manage user to check if the user is there or not. So the server will respond back asking the user, please fill up these information, username or email and passwords. They will fill up these informations and will respond back to the server. And the server will direct this to add user and to check if that user is there or not. As we said, the server will not do that directly. They need to contact other classes to format the input of the user, and then they will be able to add it to the database. So the handle adding will format that and respond back to the server, and the server will check, do we have or not. If we do have, the server will check. The server will add these information to the database because it's sign up, it's not login. Um, will add it, and if that successfully work, it's gonna send back users created, and that's gonna be that's it for the sign up sequence diagram. For the other sequence diagram is for adding an expense. So first, the user, we are suppose that the user already signed up, and they will first need to log in. So they will say, I want to log in the user view, and the user view will send to the server to manage a user. Then the server will respond back to the user, ask them to fill these information, as we said, password and username and or email. Um, but I guess for clarify these things, I mistakenly said it's gonna be username and email. It's gonna be username, email, password, debit card, and phone number. And for the login, it's gonna be only for the email, username, and password. So they can use their email, they can use their username. It's up to them, and with the password. And so the user will send it to the server, and the server will check if that's gonna be in there. It's only for the login the server will be able to contact directly with the database. If they found it, they will go back, hey, you are authenticated. So then it's gonna be displayed at the main menu in the user view. So the user view will choose to add an expense. They will hit the button add expense. So it's gonna be sent to the functionality that the user wants to add an expense, and the functionality will respond back, please fill up this information. What expense do you have? What's the name, and so forth. So they will fill in the information of the expense they want to add. So they will send it back to the functionality, and then this functionality will direct it to the server, and the server will direct it to the handle adding, because functionality cannot contact handle adding directly. It needs to use the server because it's in the middle. So it's gonna ask the handle adding to format this, and then it's gonna send back to the server the formatted information to add it to the um, database. And if that's correctly added or successfully added, it's gonna send back a message with an express is created. So now let's go over the state diagram. So first state diagram is for the user view class. First, I'm gonna start with the initial here. They will say they will decide do they have an account or not. So if they do have an account, they will log in. If they do not, they will sign up. They will here and then login, enter user credentials, username or email and password. If that failed, they will ask again to enter their credentials. And if they success, they will go here to this join. For the sign up, it's gonna be the same. They will be asked to enter the user details that they wanna add or create an account with it. If it's failed, it's gonna be asked again and say that didn't work. And if that successfully worked, it's gonna be go to this join. And this join will display a panel or the main menu, and that's gonna be the end of this of the state. The other state diagram is for functionalities class. So let's say the user wanna add an expense. So it's gonna start here. The user wanna add an expense. It's gonna be sent, and they will be asked to add the expense details or fill in the expense details. If that worked, They will try to create this expense, though the software will try to create this expense. If that work, it's gonna be saved in the database. If that failed, it's gonna go again and require them to add or to fill in the expense details. So after that, if that work is going to be display paneled, they will be sent to the main menu again, and that's going to be the end of the state diagram. So the third one is for printing a report. So we are supposed that the user already in the settings and they choose to print a report. So they will be asked to um, enter the report details. If that's success, that's gonna be that's the software will try to get the report from the database. If that failed, it's gonna be here again, and they will require to add or to fill in the report details again. After that, the report will be saved to the local device. I did not mention this before, but I'm sorry, but for the report, it's not gonna be shown in the panel or in the user view. It's going to be saved somewhere in the local device. The software will ask the user to specify a location for the report to be saved. After that done, it's going to be display the panel, and that's going to be the end of this state. So that's it for my presentation, and that's all my diagrams.